If you're a beginner with Blender and you'd like to learn how to use physics, then this is the video for you. I'm not going to be going into deep detail, although I'm just going to give you the basics of rigid bodies and how they work. Let's go ahead and delete all what's on the scene. We're going to press A, then X, and delete. Press Shift A, we're going to add in a plane. I'm going to go ahead and scale it up to 10. And let's go ahead and enable physics for this. Now you're going to find this under the physics tab, so it's right here. We're going to be focused on rigid body today, so let's go ahead and select this. Now here where it says type, there are two kinds of rigid bodies. There's active and passive. The active is the kind where gravity affects it and other force fields affect it. This plane, however, is going to remain stationary, but it's still going to react with physics, so I'm going to make this a passive. Passive is where the object is not affected by any force fields, but it still reacts with other physics. So, okay, we're going to go ahead and select Shift A. We're going to add in a cube, move it up a little bit using G and Z. There we go. Let's scale it down a little bit. Press rigid body. This is an active object, so I'm going to let gravity affect this one. Press play. You can see how it falls and immediately reacts with the plane. That's basic physics right there. There's really nothing to it. It's just rigid body active, rigid body passive. You have various settings. So like right here we have 1 kilogram of mass. Really the ones that I just use is the mass and the surface response. So we have friction and bounciness. If we turn bounciness up, friction down. Same thing with this. We have a very bouncy cube. Any combination of settings here will give you different results. There is one important one I like to go into is animated. Your object can be animated, so you can check that. This basically just lets you animate your object instead of having only gravity or a force field affected. So let's go ahead and I'm going to add in another object. We can make an UV sphere. I'm going to make it rigid body active. And I guess we'll just put it down here with a plane. And we're going to take this cube. It's set to animated, so move it over here. And press I, location rotation. Maybe go to frame 30 or 29. Then we're going to press G. I'll go to 1 on the number pad. Press G, move it over to here, just like that. Press I and location rotation. And here we go. Watch this. Basically, what it just did was it animated the cube, so now gravity's not affecting it anymore. So it's just an active object that's animated to interact with other objects. There you go. Okay, now so that's what animated is. So there's a lot that you can do with the rigid body world. One thing I want to focus on right now is to make sure your scene data settings are correct. Right now, if we were to try to use physics right here, you'll notice that after 250 frames, if we increase that value, the physics die. So in other words, this is bouncing along. As soon as you go past the 250 frame mark, physics stops. This is because in our scene data we have not basically enabled more than 250 frames. You can find this under rigid body world. Run down to where it says cache or cache. Open that up. Select the end value here. Make that whatever you want. I'm going to go 500. Now you can increase your end frame of your timeline to 500. And you can watch that your physics will interact longer than 250 frames. You'll actually keep on going until the end of your end frame here. So that's how that works. It took me a long time to actually figure that out. I was struggling trying to figure out why is this thing not working like past 250 frames, and it turned out that it's because of the scene data. So your scene data also has field weights, so you can go ahead and turn gravity off. For instance, you would have obviously no movement. Turn gravity up a little bit, and we have slow gravity. There's all kinds of things you can do with the field weights. But really, like I said, most of the settings can be found in the rigid body world. Well, that concludes part 1. Stick around for part 2 because I'll be teaching you guys how to apply these basic rigid body settings to create some pretty cool animations.